Okay, I just want to say some stuff about the Republic in general before we start looking at the particular books. There should be a brief video for each of the 7 books that we'll be reading from the Republic. The Republic's made up of 10 books. We'll be reading books 1 through 7, and I will explain why we're only reading the first 7 books, with the exception of a brief excerpt, I believe, from book 9, which I think is helpful, and I'll be referring to that excerpt, which actually begins on page 292 and continues for a couple of pages. But yeah, the argument that we're following out, or at least I think the main argument of the Republic, which we'll be following, is pretty much concluded by the end of book 7, actually, probably the beginning of book 7, but the first 7 books. Why are we reading the Republic? That's a more important question. This class is called The Human Person, and more or less it's a class in the philosophy of human nature, and so when we look at the Republic, we'll be looking at it with that in mind. That is, the main focus of the book for us will be Plato's theory of human nature, and the key book in our reading of it is book 4, and really the latter part of book 4, because it's there that you finally get the fully developed theory of human nature, theory of the person, the parts of the self, or the parts of the individual soul. So in a way, you could, I think, in your reading of the Republic as a whole, consider book 4 as the center. And in some way or another, everything in the preceding books is leading up to that theory of human nature in book 4, and we'll see how and what place this theory of human nature has in the overall argument of the book. And everything after book 4 is kind of an argument for the theory of human nature in book 4. So we'll be looking at the book or the dialogue as a whole. We'll be looking at it in detail, looking at particular arguments, looking at the points that Plato makes, but the most important part of it for us will be the theory of human nature and what Plato has to say about that. Now, the Republic is a long dialogue which talks about a lot of things. It is a work of ethics. It is a work of political philosophy. It's a work of metaphysics. And we'll be talking about what I mean by metaphysics. And it's about theory of education and all sorts of things. So there's many ways to read the Republic, and we're reading it in the context, again, of a class in the philosophy of human nature, so that it is natural that we'll read it as a book which has a lot to say in that regard. So let's get started looking at book 1.